What's up? Welcome to the breakfast show. Welcome to the breakfast show. Let's get this on. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? We have zero listeners. We don't even have the guest here. So it's just me talking to myself. But this is a great time to get all the Jeets in, get the people involved. We have a lot to discuss this week. Wow, what a week. What a week for Bitcoin, for crypto, for geopolitics, for Twitter spaces. What a week for humanity. Let's see. Zero views. So you're saying if I had to go now live by myself, I'd get zero views. That is very disheartening. I'll just drink my coffee while I wait for the Jeets. Hello, Mati.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm having fun.
We are celebrating today. Where's your whiskey? We have
You
a
just call me a
sponsor.
Jeet.
No, I called the Jeets. I told not you the Jeets. The people, the people in the streets are the Jeets. You're not a Jeet.
Oh,
You've been
okay.
around longer than you like 3 times my son's age. Oh, there's a Jeet, dude. Hi, Roy. Good morning to you. And there's Mati. Mati, for someone who's not a Jeet, that was Jeet-like behavior.
I
Yeah,
what I did is I hit the login button on stream. What is that awful sound?
there's like a cackle coming from Roy's side.
Yeah, your microphone's super messed up, Roy. You should use a different microphone. That's not gonna work.
Darth Vader.
Yeah, we can't hear a word you're saying. That's awful.
You can look at the settings on StreamYard, and then you can choose your audio. Maybe it's plugged into your refrigerator.
Maybe I do need a drink.
Yeah, you do need a drink. We're celebrating. We have a sponsor.
What are we celebrating, dude?
We have a sponsor.
I need to make a selection over here. Oh wow, okay, that is nice.
That deserves more than a Jameson.
Calls for a nice. Okay.
And I told you, and I told the sponsor, we'll talk about it in a second when we get more people in the space as well. But 100% of the proceeds from the sponsorship are going towards pumping up the show. So we're gonna. Oh, what we got
How's that
there?
one look? I don't know.
I don't even know what it's a special bottle. What's Foursquare? Is it a Scotch?
I don't even know, dude. It just
Is it
looks
a bourbon?
super posh.
It looks nifty.
Barbados rum. Oh wow, that smells
Oh, it's
great.
rum.
Okay, that
Interesting.
smells
Hello,
nice.
Roy.
Did you?
Yeah, it's loud and
There
clear,
we go.
Roy.
Good
Good
job,
to have
Roy.
you.
Yeah, so
In
it's
the offing.
the StreamYard that picked up my laptop mic,
Your
not the
laptop sound.
headphones.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It picks it up sometimes. So you play around with the settings and you mess around. So thank you, Roy, for joining us. We'll wait for Mati to get his rum action going. It's a rum kind of night in California. It's a coffee kind of morning in Israel. I just finished my. It's crazy. Time differences will never get like normal for me. Like there you are, midnight drinking whiskey. I just finished like a morning gym session. It's just like, and we're in the same planet. We're in the same moment in time. But for you, your reality is just so shifted.
I saw a
It's like
map. There's the island between Alaska and Russia. It's actually there's two small islands that are several meters away from each other, and the international date line crosses them. So you could just be like, it's Monday,
today,
Wednesday.
Tuesday. Okay, so welcome, Roy. Thank you for joining us. Let's everyone retweet the space. Let's share it around. Let's get
Are there
everyone
actually
in here.
humans watching? I haven't seen any comments yet. Or are we just like
I
doing a
mean,
show for bots today?
where my humans at? I'm sure we have some of our OGs in the house, and we have a very cool announcement to make. I'm gonna make it like this. The Yalla Bitcoin Breakfast Show is now sponsored by DLT Law. DLT Law is a
Hooray!
wonderful law firm run by our friends Yitzi and Samuel and Yarden Noy, three partners, and they sponsored our last meetup. We had a great time, and now they are putting a sponsorship. They are backing the breakfast show, and as I told Mati, 100% of the proceeds of the sponsorship will go towards back into the show. We're going to get someone who is closer to Steven Spielberg than I am to do some post prod editing. We're going to get some buy some bots, small bots on Telegram, on Twitter to watch us. I'm joking, but that kind of stuff. So we're very happy. We're very excited to partner up with DLT Law.
Buy some bots. That's it.
Well, we're also gonna have special. We're gonna have special like promotions for anyone that's coming through the Yellow Bitcoin Breakfast Show that goes to DLT Law. They want to get legal services for a ICO, for investment in crypto, whatever it might be. Yellow Bitcoin keeps our people out of jail, and we do it in a way that's advantageous to you because we will be getting a discount coupon to give out to people looking for the best legal services in the business. So stay tuned for that. More information next week when the sponsorship officially kicks off. But for now, I just wanted to like open up with the good news, let everyone know what's happening and where we're at. So thank you, Roy, for coming on our first sponsored show. Hopefully not our last. And
Thank you,
before
thank
we
you,
get
Dudu, and congrats on the
started,
sponsorship.
thank you, sir. It's a
L'chaim.
little a small step for man, a giant leap for Bitcoin, and we will make it great again. Roy, maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then we will get into see how Mati's feeling about the world and the markets in general, and then we'll get to our question.
Sure, sure. My name is Roy Sheinfeld. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Breez. Breez is a Bitcoin company. We help application developers, service providers integrate Bitcoin payments into their solutions.
Okay, that's the quickest intro I've ever heard in my life, and kudos to you. And some people tell us about their first girlfriend in high school and how they how they started selling
We'll get to that in the
lemonade.
questions.
So, Mati, so how are you feeling? What's the last week been like for you? Like, we had Trump and Elon Twitter space. We had obviously macro threats that are very real for us over here. They're not just macro concerns. They actually, we have to actually like stockpile food and batteries and make sure that our shelters are clean. We have Bitcoin recovering nicely, but not managing to break back into the 60 to 70 zone. So what your kind of takeaway from the last week been?
Yeah, actually, incredibly boring price action considering the incredibly bullish activity. And I'm not saying that on like small scale, but if I can share my screen with you, and I'm on my laptop here. Apologies, I'm not at home near my stockpiles of food or my 4 monitors at the moment. So you're going to get an infinite loop for just a second. Oh, no, you don't have to because you're on StreamYard. You can just share my screen
Just
here.
share it to the StreamYard and then I'll put it up here.
Okay, can you see the screen here?
Hold on, let me just make a view that makes sense. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so what you're looking at is Bitcoin between the levels of 52,000, I would say 55,000 and 70,000. which is a decent range for Bitcoin. What's different about this is the length of time or the duration of the range. It's 6 months. It's 6 months in this fucking range. Like, you know that meme, like with the dude poking the stick and saying, do something?
Yeah.
That's right now. That's what's happening. And it's so weird given Bitcoin's sudden, like, taking center stage, you know, in the US election, which is like the biggest political event on the planet. And suddenly, like, Bitcoin, it like there's a discussion around how, you know, the various candidates are viewing Bitcoin and what their policies towards DeFi and crypto is going to be. And Bitcoin is just, and I mean, not to mention, you know, the ETFs and the Wall Street adoption and huge volumes from that side, and arms race with China potentially, you know, adopting Bitcoin, and all of these type of things that should be insanely bullish for Bitcoin, and the price is just not reacting whatsoever. It's hilarious. But also we do know that, you know, these type of consolidations can be extremely bullish once they are broken out because of the inherent properties of Bitcoin.
Allow me to take the glass half full kind of story. There's you know, we are in this range despite the
That
fact
would be an
that
incredibly large amount of rum, sir. Half
that's
full.
that's it's only on select holidays do we do glass half full of rum.
Gosh.
And but you know, we had Gox, we had Germany, we have now the US, you know, moving Silk Road coins. These are like these are supply overhangs that have been threatening the market for quite a while, and we're getting them dumping now, and nevertheless, you know, we're still kind of ranging. So I think that's the glass half full kind of side where you're saying all the positive headwinds of Bitcoin are enough to, you know, because there's no new actual buying catalyst. Like when the ETF started, okay, now there's a new avenue for people to buy. You know, the buying avenues are still the same. There's no new uh, institutions. There's no new Michael Saylor. There's no new Nayib Bukele. But there are new sell pressures that have come, that have been hanging around like a dark cloud on the market, and now they finally open up. And nevertheless, we have enough ponchos to absorb all that selling. So I think that's kind of where the market is. Roy, I'd like to see where, you know, where your head's at, because I'm sure you're probably thinking about these things on a 10-year time span, and anything that relates to short-term movements is you know, is not your game. Or am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. Like, I'm not following even the Bitcoin price, not daily and not even weekly. I think I agree with you that there's no new driver to observe the supply that is dumped into the market, and still the price is not fluctuating, which is, I think, great news for Bitcoin. Also tactically, until November, until the election, I think it's good for Bitcoin to stay kind of in the same price range. You don't want to see, and I don't want to see, and I don't think any of us want to see Bitcoin as a speculative asset that's fluctuating, and the price is pumping because of what? Like, what's the new driver? So for me, if the Bitcoin price is kind of stable and linearly growing, I think that's the best outcome for Bitcoin. So yeah,
I want to talk to you about the. Let's go from a short term to long term. You guys are you guys enable Bitcoin payments based on the Lightning Network. Obviously, the whole concept of Bitcoin payments is you know, fits in with the medium of exchange narrative. So Bitcoin is a store of value first and foremost, but it would, in order to become ultimate money, it also needs to become a medium of exchange, eventually a unit of account as well. You guys enable Bitcoin payment. Maybe run us through a little bit about you know, your whole belief system about Bitcoin being used as money. Because why would I want to buy coffee with something that is going up in price, when I can just buy coffee with my South African rands, shitty fiat, that are going to be worth nothing in a couple months, and hodl my Bitcoin or use it to buy a picture of a cat?
Sure. I need to take a step back before answering your last question. So let's do that for a second and take a step back. You start with Bitcoin is a store of value, not necessarily a medium of exchange. I think there's a false dichotomy between store of value and medium of exchange, meaning good money is both. It needs to be a great store of value, and it has to be a great medium of exchange. However, there are some people, entities, groups that are trying to create this dichotomy in Bitcoin, and we need to ask ourselves why. Meaning this narrative of referring to Bitcoin only as a store of value, that serves someone interest. There are people that don't want you to acquire Bitcoin directly. There are people that don't want you to move your Bitcoin because they're trying to gatekeep Bitcoin. So this entire narrative of Bitcoin is only a store of value. Let's think about whose interest that narrative serves. So we just want to help Bitcoin be a better form of money, which means a better store of value and a better medium of exchange. And let's take a look at Bitcoin now, like how people are using Bitcoin. 95% of the transactions in the main chain are around trading, right? People are mostly using Bitcoin to trade.
Where does that figure come from? Sorry.
It's my intuition. Like you have a different.
No, I don't know. The blockchain data is anonymous. I just was wondering where you got that kind of.
Yeah, people are. What's the main use case? Like people are trading. People are using Bitcoin as a trading asset.
I don't change Bitcoin for any sort of speculation. I use Bitcoin nearly daily and never for speculation purposes.
For what? So you use it for
paying people and getting paid money.
Okay, so you're in a minority. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin transaction volume in 2022. There was the throughput on top of the Bitcoin main chain was $39 trillion. And the $39 trillion is coming mostly from trading volume. And even if I'm off by 10% or 15%, it doesn't really matter. The majority of the volume of the transactions that are going on the Bitcoin mainnet is for trading, and you can there are sites that can provide you with more specific, concrete metric. But what I'm trying to say is that when people, you agree, Matt, that the main use case is trading right now. People are using Bitcoin as a speculative asset, maybe not you, but most of the people that are interacting with Bitcoin. When they do that, are they using Bitcoin as a store of value, or are they using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange? I would say both. I would say both. Meaning people are. So people are using the inherent value proposition of Bitcoin, the ability to move Bitcoin in order to move it, buy or sell it. But they buy or sell it because of the inherent value proposition of Bitcoin being a good store of value. So again, I'm just kind of trying to reinforce my point that there's a false dichotomy, and don't get fooled into this dichotomy, because basically they want you to buy their ETFs. They want you to buy their MicroStrategy stocks. They want you to buy assets that are being gatekept by them, and they don't want to allow you to get a direct access to Bitcoin because they want to control the Bitcoin the Bitcoin movement, the Bitcoin supply. There's also, I don't know how if you guys discussed that in this show. There's also kind of the trend of what I call the dollarization of Bitcoin. Exactly like a petrodollar, there is a trend, and there are tools that are put in place in order to gatekeep Bitcoin, in order for people to buy and sell Bitcoin only using the US dollar, which protects the US dollar. So when I through Breez and when other people in the Bitcoin ecosystem want to improve Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, basically it means they want to allow you to have a more direct access to Bitcoin as a bearer asset, and they want to empower you, the user, to use your Bitcoin like what Matty is doing with his Bitcoin, buy and sell Bitcoin more easily, more quickly, and in a scalable fashion. That's
nobody
kind
can
of the
control Bitcoin. So, I mean, these kind of efforts that you're speaking about, I don't know who you're alluding to, by the way. You're making these kind of like illusions that somebody is trying to keep you away from Bitcoin and once removed. But I don't know who you're talking about. First of all, maybe you can name them. That would be helpful. But
what are ETFs, Matty?
The beautiful thing about Bitcoin is that nobody can do that. And the fact that, that they're adopting Bitcoin and maybe trying to be the middleman, is not going to help them in the long term. And by the way, side note, hello, good morning, Alon, Adan, and Chain Coiner, 3 humans, 3 panelists. We are about even early on in the show. Great start. One more comment puts us over the edge. More humans, more viewers than panelists, which is great. Human viewers, I should say.
That's why they pay us the big bucks.
Very cool. But yeah,
Matty, there's no I'm just there's no conspiracy theory. I'm not trying to kind of fud.
Nice. Ding 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 ding. We need a bell or something.
No, it's not. I mean, you did say something. You said that there's some sort of you said that there's some sort of I won't call it a conspiracy, but some sort of organized mechanism to get.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say organized mechanism. I said no. It's marketing. It's marketing. It's marketing. What are ETFs?
They're wrapped Bitcoin. They're TradFi wrapped Bitcoin.
Okay, so who's buying Bitcoin when you buy an ETF? Who buys the Bitcoin?
ETFs, sir. I have no idea why.
Okay, you. Okay, but but that's exactly what. Great. I'm happy for you, and that's kind of my point. You agree that if you buy Bitcoin through an ETF, you don't have a direct access to Bitcoin, right?
Not your keys, sir.
Yes.
We agree. Exactly. So there are tools, and I don't. Again, it's not conspiracy theories. There are tools that are put in place in order to say to you, you don't need to have a direct access to your Bitcoin. Trust us. We'll control your Bitcoin. Either through tools like financial instruments like ETFs,
Roy,
or through
a perverted way to look at the ETFs. They weren't put in place in order to block anybody's access. In fact, the opposite. They were put in place in order to provide access to people who cannot otherwise access it.
Matty, it's weird. It's weird that I hear that coming from you after all the BlackRock up to shenanigans stuff. Like there's definitely something about wanting to control the supply. Wanting to, the more people
I
holding
agree.
an
ETF, actors and that they're gonna at some point in the future, near or far, we're gonna catch them with their pants down, and it's gonna be beautiful. But what's
the narrative? But let's not. Again, I don't want to. I'm not trying to bash ETFs. I'm not trying to say that there's no room for ETFs. That's not my point. But what I'm saying is don't fall into the marketing aspect of people telling you Bitcoin is just a store of value, because that serves the purpose of more money supply to tools like ETFs. And Michael Saylor is doing the same with MicroStrategy. Michael Saylor tells you, you don't need a direct access to Bitcoin. Buy my stocks, and you'll get Bitcoin exposure. And in order to do that, he's trying to position
never heard
Bitcoin.
him say that. Is that something that he's said before? I mean, so my impression of Michael Saylor's motive is very simple: is that I have the option to borrow fake money in order to buy real money, and I'm going to do that in any way, shape, or form that I can. The value proposition of MicroStrategy, with the ETFs, kind of dwindles and falls on its face. Because you don't have to use his stock in order to buy Bitcoin anymore. If you're one of these hedge funds or whatnot, you can now buy the ETF. But I don't think I've ever heard Michael Saylor say, "Hey, don't buy Bitcoin directly, buy MicroStrategy instead." I don't think that was ever the point.
Okay, that's the underlying marketing message.
He's a brilliant capitalist.
The underlying marketing message behind the Michael Saylor spiel is exactly that. And there's a reason the stock is pumping, because people are buying into what Michael Saylor is saying. And again, I'm not saying Michael Saylor isn't there's no room for getting
pumping is because the value of the assets is pumping.
Because people are buying. Take a look at the volumes, Matty. Take a look at how many people are buying MicroStrategy stocks, and the reason
they're holding, right? So there's a valuation of the company. The valuation of the company includes the assets that are on the balance sheet. They have a shitload of Bitcoin on the balance sheet, so the price of Bitcoin goes up. People are going to buy the stock in order to take advantage of the higher valuation.
Great. Why aren't they buying Bitcoin directly and holding Bitcoin directly?
They are, and they can, but the point of buying MicroStrategy.
No, they're not. They're not. The majority are not. You are the exception, Matty. You need to understand that. I just came back from Nashville, a large Bitcoin conference. 20,000 people were there. Most of the people, great. So if you talk with people over there, the large majority of the people don't have a direct access to Bitcoin.
What?
What? Most of the people there.
Yeah, I don't know where you got that from. I mean, that's a ludicrous statement. I mean, the majority of people that I talk to, actually, I spoke with overwhelming amount of Bitcoin miners.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a test in Singapore.
I'm not talking about the miner. I'm not talking about the miner. I'm not talking about the people that exhibit in the conference, but talk with the crowd, the people that came to the conference, and ask them, do you have Bitcoin? How do you hold your Bitcoin? And most of these people don't have direct access to Bitcoin. They're not holding their keys.
Honestly, I didn't hear one person tell me that they don't have direct access to Bitcoin. But look, again, we're maybe getting off topic here, because I don't really understand your point here. What are you trying to say? You're trying to say that most people who use Bitcoin don't access it directly. I think that's always been true, right? Because people hold their Bitcoin on exchanges rather than self-custody, and that's not, as we know, it's not direct access.
There are 2 points that I'm trying to make. I'm not trying. I'm just answering the question. There are two main points I want to say. One, when people are selling financial instruments, and that the industry is led by people that are selling a financial instrument, they have a clear incentive to draw you into their financial instrument and gatekeep you from getting direct access to Bitcoin. That's one. Secondly, I want to reiterate my point about the false dichotomy between store value of medium of exchange. Bitcoin is both. Bitcoin is a great medium of exchange and a great store of value, and both feed each other. Because it's a great medium of exchange, it's also a great store of value, and vice versa.
It's a mediocre medium of exchange, by the way.
Let's double click on that.
Yeah.
I want to move us to the next topic.
And I remember the first time when somebody says, "Hey, Bitcoin, it takes 10 minutes at least to verify a transaction." I was like, "What the fuck? How can you ever go to a store and tell the cashier, hold on, wait 10 minutes?" And he's like, "Well, that's final settlement in 10, 20 minutes. Whereas final settlement, for a banking transaction takes 10 days." As soon as he told me that, I was sold, because I my entire career been struggling with bank-to-bank transfers that take 5 business days, and you have to learn coding. You have to have a PhD in routing numbers in order to get to push them through and pay $25, $50 or more dollars for each transaction. So I was like, okay, well that makes a lot of sense. And immediately
you agree. Great. So
but Bitcoin isn't buying coffee with, as Dudu mentioned. I mean, who in their right mind?
But people are okay.
Who in their right mind wants to spend generational wealth to buy a Starbucks cup of Starbucks? Who?
Okay. So again, this buying coffee argument, like who wants to buy coffee? Like Bitcoin shouldn't be used for buying coffee. That's FUD, basically. When people tell you that, you need to ask, why are they even discussing buying coffee using Bitcoin? Like, who cares about buying coffee using Bitcoin? When I say Bitcoin is a great medium of exchange, is exactly comparing to the Swift mechanism of transferring value. Now we want to make it even better than that. If people will want to use it for coffee or not, that's not really relevant, because there's a lot to improve on the Bitcoin medium of exchange properties using the Lightning Network for doing remittance.
The Lightning Network, that's funny.
Can we talk about Lightning for a second?
Yeah. Okay. The Lightning Network sucks, and anybody who's ever used it knows this.
No, let's not use word like sucks. Let's say suboptimal.
No, I'm okay.
It's suboptimal, and the user experience is.
Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the numbers 1 second, and then we'll get
fun, not convenient, and very difficult to use. Transactions fail far too frequently. It's overcomplicated. The invoicing system generates way more characters than you ever could fit on a single screen, and doesn't make any sense. And then the fact that you have to make a on-chain transaction in order to load your wallet and unload your wallet means that you're not really getting any sort of value. When you're holding Lightning Bitcoin, you're not actually self-custodying your Bitcoin. You're actually holding it somewhere else where somebody can rug you or
wow. Okay, complete.
I don't know where you want to start with the Lightning.
Roy, I'm going to.
I don't know.
Roy, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond, but first I want to just look at numbers, not facts and emotion.
Yeah.
And the numbers, the numbers show like steady growth in the Lightning Network. Obviously, around 2021, 22, the last bull market, people were excited about the Lightning Network, but then it sort of tapered off at 5,000.
So I believe it was 2018 when the Lightning Trust chain was invented by Hodl Not. I was actually one of the torch bearers, if you remember that experiment. And
wait, Mati. Let's let's take a step back. Let's talk about data for a second. The graph that Dudu showed. And then what you see, Dudu, is the Lightning Network capacity. Public.
Can you show that chart? I'm sorry. Can you show the real chart there? What you're doing is you've pinned 2 different axes there. But what I'd like to see is actually like that blue line as a real number compared on the same axis as the price of Bitcoin. So your orange line and your blue line on the same axis. See, what you've done is, this is a trick. Yes, you've separated the axes, and yes, of course, the Lightning Network has grown over time. But if you put it as this on the same axis, what you're going to see is the blue line is flat, completely flat.
I'm not looking at the orange line. I'm looking specifically. The blue line is the BTC capacity. The orange line is, the Lightning USD capacity is going up because the price of Bitcoin is going up. So that's for sure. But now I want to give Roy. Here we go, Roy, a chance to respond to the
respond.
Respond
on what? First,
the user experience. Go ahead, respond on that.
Well, even the user experience, you used Lightning Network back in 2019 and you had a bad experience, and now you're telling me
I've
like the
used it, and
Lightning
I've
Network.
tried it again since, and it has not gotten any better.
When? How? Okay, that's nonsense. And it's not me saying it's nonsense. It's like the number of applications, the number of downloads, the number of transactions that are being processed in the Lightning Network, the Lightning Network throughput. One thing, again, going back to do this chart, I think it's crap as well. Not because Dudu is trying to display and show evidence of a Lightning success, because this metric doesn't mean anything. Lightning Network, unlike other layer 2s, it can't be measured by the capacity. The capacity is only one indication of the Lightning success. By the way, not most of the capacity, but a lot of the capacity isn't even visible in the public metrics. Meaning, when you open a public channel, you can measure the public capacity. You can add the capacity of the channel, of a Lightning channel, to the public capacity. But there are tens and hundreds of thousands of private channels that are not being captured in these metrics. That's one. Secondly, what's more important than the capacity is the throughput, is how many payments and what is the volume, the BTC volume that is being processed in the Lightning Network. That's the real metric. And I can tell you that I'm working closely with a lot of.
Throughput is a measurement of success now.
Throughput isn't a measurement of success.
No, so in that case,
it's for a measure of exchange.
I have the Lightning Network pinned, completely
Sorry?
pinned.
Sorry?
Digibyte and XRP both have much higher throughput than the Lightning Network. So, I mean,
well, I don't know. Matty, you don't like the network.
So
that's
I just
fine.
Want to know but if that's a measurement of success, then I mean,
of course, it's a measurement of success. Matty, let me speak. Okay, you don't like the Lightning Network.
I'm letting you, I haven't interrupted you once the whole conversation. Just
let me finish. Of course, throughput is a measurement of success, because what's the purpose of the network?
To means of exchange. I agree with Roy over here. Throughput is
so
a measurement of success.
There's a node
and means of exchange.
There's a node in the network, and there are a lot of nodes like that from a public capacity, and that's when you interrupt it. That's what I wanted to say. You take a look at the node, you take a look at its capacity, it holds 40, 50 BTC. But the amount of volume of throughput that this node is processing is trillions of dollars. So is that what's the right measurement? How do you measure the success of this Lightning node? By which metrics?
The fact that nobody's ever heard of it. I mean, for one.
Well, no one heard of what?
Bitcoin. Well, I think that more people have heard of Bitcoin Cash or know what Bitcoin Cash is than people who know what the Lightning Network is, honestly. I mean, other than people who are like literally Bitcoin maxis like yourself, you're maybe
I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. Why are you saying that I'm a Bitcoin maxi?
Oh, I was told that before we got on the show. Is that not correct?
Okay, so I don't know what the term Bitcoin maxi means.
Bitcoin maximalist?
I don't know what that means, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, and my purpose, by the way, our purpose, the people that are working in building, in improving the Lightning Network, and I agree with you, by the way, like from a development standpoint, the Bitcoin network the Lightning Network always sucks. By the way, the internet also sucks. Like from a technical standpoint, it's very hard to use underlying infrastructure. The Lightning Network will succeed once people won't know about the Lightning Network, and once Lightning Network will be an implementation detail of Bitcoin, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to obfuscate the complexities of Lightning Network, and we're trying to make Lightning Network seamless for you to use. So it's all good. Like I'm okay when you're saying to me like Lightning Network sucks. because it means you had a direct access to Lightning Network. It means that you had to kind of, you remember the internet days of using a BBS, like that wasn't a fun experience, right?
It was at the time.
Experience.
I mean, it was revolutionary.
So Lightning Network, for people who are using the Lightning Network, I think that's kind of the feeling right now. It's very clunky. It sometimes works. It sometimes doesn't. By the way, it's gotten vastly improved over the past couple of years, but not when you tried the Lightning Torch in 2019. It really sucked. Like you couldn't make a single Lightning payment, and you had to deal with channel management, and you had to deal with all the complexities of the underlying implementation. As like fast forward 5 years, the experience is much better. We're onboarding normies to the Lightning Network. There's a lot of transaction in the Lightning Network. Yes, it still sucks. The internet like starting to do a mass expansion in the early 90s, and sometimes it still sucks. I'm still getting phone calls from my mother asking me why this site doesn't work or why I can do this XYZ operation in the internet. So yes, it's
Roy,
from a technical standpoint. Yeah.
You converted me. I acknowledge that I learned something new today, both about the right metrics to measure Lightning Network success, that capacity. It's very hard to find real-time real-time transaction volume data about the Lightning Network, but I do see this. This is a very reputable source, River Financial. They have a study that shows a 5x growth over 2 years in transaction volume in USD. So that was from 2021 to 2023.
I think it's a lot more than 5x if I remember correctly, and this is a study that we've participated in as well. Matty, again, not trying to convert you to Lightning, like you're already, for me, you're already on.
You get me all wrong. I'm happy that your success makes me happy. So it's not. I have no vested interest for Lightning to fail. I'm just pointing out some of the as you called it, inconsistencies or stuff that needs to be improved if you're looking to go viral here.
I agree. There's a maturation process that we're going through. Like I'm a builder again. Like I'm not phased by. I host panels in Bitcoin conferences. I host panels in Bitcoin conferences, and the title is "Why Lightning Sucks." Like that's our goal. Our goal is to talk about like the problems in Lightning, to encourage, bring builders in order to fix these problems. So so I understand where you're coming from, but I think we've made a lot of progress.
If the Lightning Network is stable, I can tell you that as we build out the Cora app, because our vision with the Cora app is to have a easy to use multi-chain wallet, so that the user never really understands, unless he wants to or needs to, what's happening on the back end. So holding Solana on Solana and Ethereum on Ethereum, exchanging between the two, not even realizing that they're two different blockchains. And should that be the case, then perhaps it makes sense at some point, as Bitcoin is being used on the app, to implement Lightning on the back end in order to save our users some transaction fees and time for transactions.
And that's part of the maturation process that we're going through now. What Breez is doing. Let's talk about Breez for a second. Not because I want to plug Breez, but because we're positioned in like what I'm trying to promote is not building Lightning apps, but bringing Lightning to existing apps. That's basically what we're trying to do at Breez, and we're providing an SDK to developers that allow them to integrate Lightning payments.
What do you think of the USD's Jeremy Allaire's announcement? I think it was yesterday, USDC going to be used for payments on Apple Pay?
Great. That's why not? Like, I think the value proposition of Bitcoin is kind of different, but anything that gives the people access to digital money, like I'm all for it. Bitcoin.
So you're not a maxi. Somebody lied to me before the show. You're not a maxi because
again, I don't know what I think when people are again, there's a lot of narratives. The maxi narrative.
What's your view on ordinals?
There we go. I was about to get that. That's the next topic. Ordinals.
I wrote an article when ordinals and runes and all this stuff came out, and I wrote in this article that was published in Bitcoin Magazine that it's good for Bitcoin. Everything is good for Bitcoin, and specifically ordinals, because it creates more transactions. People are paying in Bitcoin. And it gives them exposure to Bitcoin. Would I hold an ordinal? No, of course. It's a pump and dump game that I'm not taking part of. But is it bad for Bitcoin? No, it's not bad for Bitcoin.
I say some of it's maybe a pump and dump, but there's certainly, not all collector's items are necessarily pump and dump materials. It's baseball.
It's more beer.
Pump and dump, as you would say.
No, ordinals are stupid. Like, again, I think it's stupid to collect special sats, and I think it's also and the creator of BRC20 and runes, like that's what they say. So who am I to kind of contradict them? But
it doesn't matter what you think, because the value is still the same. The value still is the value, and there's still somebody who's willing to buy it, whether or not you think it's stupid.
That's true for everything in the world. That's correct. Yeah,
that was an absolute statement. But
that's an absolute statement. Yeah.
Just to clear the air here, as far as Bitcoin maximalism is concerned, the way that I define it is people who have this kind of brain defect where they say that everybody should be able to use Bitcoin, or everybody should be able to have equal access to freedom of money, and people should be able to do whatever they want with their money, except for creating another coin, which that should be illegal, and people should be thrown in jail for doing that. And
I think that's your definition of Bitcoin maximalism. I never heard that definition.
Because there are people out there who hold this view, and get this. When I went to the Bitcoin conference in 2021. The same one where Nayib Bukele announced, El Salvador's big announcement. I tweeted out, "Hey, this is the biggest crypto conference in the world," and somebody retweeted me, said, "This is not a crypto conference; it's a Bitcoin conference." I'm like,
"Okay,
Bitcoin is a crypto.
Let's talk about that.
So it's a crypto conference." And,
yes, but Matty,
let me finish. There were literal death threats underneath that. For just calling Bitcoin a cryptocurrency. So like
okay.
I get a bit touched when people tell me what to do with my money or how to spend it.
Definitely.
And
but let's talk about that for a second. I'm sorry that you received death threats. Like, I don't know. That's completely stupid. People are idiots in general. So
it's not the first time. I've been attacked, by the way, by the Link Army, by the XRP Army, by the Hexicans, by this is just off the top of my head. I tend to piss people off, but I would say that the Bitcoin maximalists were by far the most violent in their rhetoric.
Okay, but okay. So two things here. One, Bitcoin Twitter isn't a good representation of the Bitcoin community. That we need to understand that. And everything that is going on in Bitcoin Twitter, it's like, and the discourse that is going on in the Bitcoin core community, among core developers, among Lightning developers, is completely different. I can tell you about eCash, and I can tell you about stuff that are going on inside Bitcoin that are not Bitcoin at all. It's not related even to Bitcoin. So you need to understand that. Secondly, again, not in the defense of getting death threats, and people are stupid and people are idiots, You need to understand that the defense mechanism that was put into place after the block size wars in 2017 that made people say we want to differentiate from crypto, and why this defense mechanism was put in place. And basically is to say Bitcoin, unlike most of the crypto, not all of the crypto, but unlike most of the crypto, isn't a leveraged asset. So we want to protect Bitcoin in that regard from a terminology standpoint. We want to kind of to say this is Bitcoin. It's something else than DeFi, TradFi, and all the other stuff that are going on in the ecosystem. And I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, perfectly fair.
I want to show you guys
a bit
the
disappointing.
runes.
I thought that Twitter was the end all and be all of crypto, and there's no crypto. So, I mean, you opened my eyes, dude.
I want to show you guys the runes data, and this kind of, we're talking about it earlier, but this is, you mentioned the pump and dump. 62% of Bitcoin transactions around the halving were runes transaction, and that's dropped to 5%.
As a Bitcoin miner, thank you for that. By the way, with some nice tips when the halving happened.
So you obviously want that to go back as a Bitcoin miner. You want
For 2 weeks. 2 weeks following the halving, we didn't even feel the halving effect.
But I think we need to appoint Roy to some sort of.
By the way,
guardian.
It was good for Lightning as well. Like for me, not for just for miner, for Lightning network operators, all this shenanigans were amazing. Like, how many users flock into the Lightning network as a result of Ordinals, which is
I can imagine.
I
just wait when transaction fees are high. I just wait a day or two and they go back down. So but I get it.
But there was a period of time.
I'm interested in the spillover. Like, it doesn't. There's no logic for people who want to buy like shit coins on Bitcoin to now spill over into the Lightning network. So can you maybe explain a little bit?
Here's the thing, right? Now Bitcoin is measured in dollars, so you could say that Bitcoin is living on a dollar world. But in the future, the dollars are going to be printed on Bitcoin as tokenized sats, right? So when that happens, we're going to need a lot more throughput and a lot more mechanisms to side chains and whatnot, because running the entire dollar system on Bitcoin is going to be a challenge.
Yeah. So Dudu, when all the ordinal stuff happened, the Bitcoin fees just spiked, and people were looking for alternative solutions to move their Bitcoin with lower fees, and that's why people kind of found the Lightning Network. And Matty, just from a Lightning Network standpoint, I think what you said is very true. And the function of Lightning Network isn't necessarily to onboard all the people in the world directly to the Lightning Network, but Lightning Network is becoming a common language between subnetwork, sidechains, other systems in order to interrupt Bitcoin.
So is
as a better
Litecoin.
asset.
I mean, but here's the thing: if I wanted to move, crypto from one exchange to another, I don't think I'd be using Lightning. I'd probably be using like Litecoin or even like XRP or even Tron or something like that, because it's just a lot more straightforward and simple to use.
So exchanges now, once now that Coinbase, Kraken, Binance all onboarded to the Lightning Network, you don't know how they're doing their internal settlements, and some of the internal settlement is moving to Lightning because it's much cheaper and quicker than the other networks that you
if I
mentioned.
process a withdrawal from Binance and I use my Coinbase address, they don't really have a way to put it on Lightning, do they?
They do. They do.
Maybe you can explain that to me, because that's interesting, because I'm using a Bitcoin native address.
So you need in Coinbase. What do you want to do? What's the use case?
So I'm saying I process a withdrawal from Binance and I put my Coinbase deposit address as the 2.
you can put a Coinbase Lightning invoice there instead
No,
of.
I can as a user, but you're saying that they're using them as internal settlements. So that's not what I'm talking
You don't
about.
know what
Moving money
I
from
said. You don't.
exchange. Yeah.
I said that you don't know how internal settlement between Binance and Coinbase work right now, and some of them are using. I know of Bitcoin exchanges that are using Lightning as their settlement mechanism, not the only one, but as a settlement mechanism between exchanges, because they can do that in real time and with very low fees.
Okay, that makes sense, I suppose, especially if they're doing hundreds of transactions. Obviously, the size of the transactions wouldn't matter. I think if you're talking about any large amount of money, the Lightning Network might not be able to handle that. But also,
again, a misconception about the Lightning Network. It's very hard to process large transactions in the Lightning Network if there's no relation between the payer and the pay, between the sender and the receiver. But if there is a relationship and there's no one Lightning Network, there are many internal closed off Lightning networks inside the Lightning Network, meaning you can have an internal settlement mechanism between number of entities without any liquidity constraints because it's not a public network. Because it's a private network, the network is completely different in terms of capacity and in terms of management.
Right. So we could get Coinbase, like, sending $10 million to Kraken, and then going ahead and rugging them and saying, okay, well, that wasn't really money, that was just fake Lightning money that we sent to you, right? That could happen.
Cute, but any Lightning transaction is a Bitcoin transaction. That's, again, a misconception regarding Lightning. What's the magic of Lightning? How Lightning works? When I send you a Lightning transaction, I'm actually making a Bitcoin transaction to you. The magic behind the Lightning Network is that this transaction isn't published to the chain, but in any moment you can publish the transaction to the chain, and you can convert the Lightning transaction into an on-chain transaction. That's the magic of Lightning Network. So no, it's not fake money, or it's money backed by the main chain.
We've got a few minutes, and I want to really touch on one last point. It's been an excellent conversation. Thank you, guys. Mati, I only used the word maxi to get you all fired up. I know that gets you going.
Well, it worked.
But Roy needs to be appointed to some sort of honorary council of Bitcoin, because this is the attitude we need. It's an attitude of purity, like, don't mess around with shitcoins, like a sober outlook, but also
I didn't say that. Don't put money. I didn't say that. If you want to mess with shitcoins, mess with shitcoin. Why not? Like, if you want to try and leverage.
You said you don't mess with shitcoin.
Personally, I don't do that. But that's me.
As someone who's not trying to coerce. As you've got you live your life pure, but you don't try and impose your beliefs on others.
Exactly.
I think that's what's missing in the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Behavior that pisses me off is when people try to
I think that's when people say the word maxis, they think about people that are pushy. They're out there. They're trying to co-opt their opinion onto others. They're trying to coerce people.
Even through violence in some cases, or violent rhetoric.
Violence. But my last question to you, Roy, is around all the. I've got some data I'm going to share it with the world soon. I've scraped over 6,000 VC deals in Web3. By the way, Breez, I don't think was listed as a Bitcoin company in this database that I have. So so 6,000 VC deals, and the amount of deals that are tagged as the Bitcoin ecosystem has gone vertical in 2023, 2024. So we're talking about L2s, and especially L2s, but DeFi and all that. So what role does Lightning Network have to play in a world of 7,463 Bitcoin layer 2s? You've got Stacks, BitLayer, Bob, a lot of other players in the field.
Great question. So I think Lightning Network, what differentiates Lightning Network from these other L2s is the fact that Lightning Network doesn't have a global state. From a technical standpoint, it's not another network, meaning Lightning Network is a real extension of the Bitcoin mainnet, making it very easy for subnetworks, any L2s out there, to create a Lightning interface to their chain, and we're already seeing L2s with a Lightning interface. So I think Lightning, because it's achieved some kind of market penetration and it is already supported by all the large exchanges, I think there's a big chance that Lightning will become the Bitcoin language that helps interop between all these layer twos. So let's say you want to interact between I don't know, Babylon and Spider Chain. You'll use the Lightning Network in order to exchange Bitcoin between them. We're already seeing that with projects like I don't know if you're familiar with Fedi, but the FediMint project is speaking Lightning. All the Cashew projects are speaking Lightning. There's a project called Arc, which is built on top of a Lightning Network, which is speaking Lightning. There's a project called BitVM that is already speaking Lightning. So Lightning is becoming the kind of the common language between all these layer twos.
Okay, so Lightning is sort of like it's got direct relation to the L1 bridge, so to speak, private bridge between different layer twos that does not have its own global state, but rather is a way to momentarily move Bitcoin between different layer twos, different ecosystem.
Exactly, and instead of pulling people into the network, Lightning will allow them to interrupt between different networks.
I'm very much more bullish on the prospect of Lightning. I'm very happy that you came on. I mean, Lightning is something that is always like, you know, you always talk to people like they're like, oh, but you can't buy coffee with Bitcoin, all the haters. And you're like, oh, no, but Lightning Network. And then you're like, I shouldn't really say that because, you know, Lightning sucks. But I see now that Lightning does not suck. It's got a bright and beautiful future.
Well, you gotta try it before you say that. First of all,
I've tried it. My personal experience with Lightning was a little frustrating because I didn't really figure out so easily how to get my Bitcoin off Lightning onto mainnet, and I felt very stupid. So I didn't bring that up in the first hour of the show because I don't like feeling stupid. But maybe it's easier these days. Maybe Roy can help me.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll do my best. Lightning sometimes still stuck, but we're working to improve it, and someone needs to work in order to improve that. I don't think it's replaceable by other mechanisms. So I'm still very, very bullish on Lightning, and we're getting into
bullish on Lightning. Are you buying Bitcoin Lightning to get the price appreciation from being correct on that outlook?
I don't know. I just try to use Bitcoin as much as I can.
No. It's like sorry, that's like asking if you're going to buy stable coins because you think they're going to be big. Anyways, thank you very much, Roy, for enlightening us today. I appreciate that. It is 1 a.m. here in California.
Enlightening. I like
enlightening us. It's been a pleasure, and have a
thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, guys.
To all our listeners. Come back next week. We have Zengo on the show and some more special guests. We'll have a good one. Cheers.
Yeah, we doubled this time. Double the human watchers than panelists. That's great.
Only going up. Cheers.
All right, that's good ratio. Bye-bye.